how's it going? Thought I'd do a little bit of an update on the aquaponics just to keep you guys in the loop. Not a lot has changed since the last one, the look of the radial flow filter and other bits and pieces like that, the biofilter. But I've just gone and bought a 4,000 litre aquaponic system from Paul Van from the Earthen Group. Thank you very much, mate. Most generous fella. He helps us backyarders out here for nicks. He has a great website full of DIY stuff. There's a link in the description below. And yeah, he's not in it for the money when it comes to us backyarders. This chap builds some of the biggest commercial systems in the world. I won't say the biggest because I don't know for sure, but if you follow his Facebook page, linked as well down the bottom, you'll see the massive one he's building in the United Arab Emirates at the moment. So a big shout out to Paul. Thank you very much, mate. You've really helped me out a lot. The system, I'll stop blowing smoke, eh? The system itself is a 4,000 litre fish tank system. It comes with 6 500 litre grow beds, a radial flow filter, a biofilter, a sump tank, and a couple of other large 200 litre tanks thrown in that I can turn into biodigesters, or I've got a couple of ideas there, and a load of fittings and pipe work and bits and pieces that goes with it. So thank you very much, Paul. One more thanks. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. So things are going to change as far as the aquaponic setup goes here. With the existing system, the IBC system, I've been talking about expanding it, moving it around, doing a deep water culture bed, all sorts of things. I don't think I'm doing that now. I might keep a couple of the beds just because they fit a little bit nicer than the round ones. I may not. I might go with the round ones. I'll show you those beds in a minute. Yeah, so I'm a little bit up in the air. My parents, I've offered them one of the round tanks that I bought from Paul to set up in their front yard. But just looking at it, I don't think it'll fit in too well aesthetically with their front yard. They're not too up on aesthetics, but a big hunking white, cream fish tank in their front yard will stand out a little bit. I'm actually thinking about breaking up the aquaponic system we have here. Dad's got some reclaimed fence palings. They look nice and worn, a little bit rustic. He could clad the outside of the tank with that, and it would fit in perfectly with the landscaping in their front yard and the brickwork on the house. And yeah, most people wouldn't even know it's there. And as well as a couple of the grow beds that he could, clad them up nicely as well, and it just looked like a bit of a landscaping feature for them. So I'm thinking that'd be a better way to go with my parents. When I do come around to setting up that system though, I will show you how I'm going to plumb it all in, because it'll be an IBC system from scratch. Don't hold your breath though. It could be, a month or two away, knowing the way my father and I work together, a little bit disjointed, get along fine, but yeah, the planning phase is always a little bit drawn out, so if you know what I mean. This system here has been chugging along nicely. I did have a few issues with the pH. My Hannah pen, great brand, great pen. It just helps if you don't drop it on rock a few times. It's the probe died in that, so when I had been reading the pH in the aquaponic system, it had been coming up at about 6.5, and I was happy with that. That's a nice range to be in. Realised it was broken after I sent some water off to be, actually it took it off to be tested at a pool shop, and it came back with a pH a lot lower than what the pen was reading. Turns out the pH in the aquaponic system had been below 5, it had been about 5.5, 5.4-ish, I think, from memory. So the fish, no wonder they weren't too happy and a bit off their feed. Also too, it affects the bacteria colony, the nitrification bacteria in the grow beds themselves, so very risky position to be in. Since then I've been treating the system with hydrated lime. This morning it was fluctuating between 6.1 and 6.2, so I'm going to dose it up with another tablespoon of hydrated lime today and see if we can raise that pH a little bit more. Other than that though, the system's been going fine. We're still harvesting warrigal greens, laid off the kangkong a bit of late. It's just getting a little bit bug affected in this one, and we've been eating it out of the water chestnut bed from another part of the yard. So sweet potato, harvested a couple of them. Yeah, so it's been going along nicely. I can't complain at all, but it's all going to be pulled out. But anyway, I'll give you a look at the fish, and yeah, I think they're rather happy at the moment. They're about to be fed. So there's 14 of these perch in here now, and they're around about average weight, I'd guess at about 600 gram. I've just turned the Venturi off for the time being, just so you can see them a little bit better. A few small bubbles coming through. So these guys have been getting about 1% of their body weight, which is roughly about 84 grams of the Ridley's barra feed, or native fish feed, a day. So just throw that in, see if they're hungry. They may not be with the camera sitting over the top of them. They might get a little bit spooked, but they've been feeding really, really well. We'll just move the camera back and see if they're going to have a go. Really can't complain on the way these guys are going. They're really honing into their food well, and they're making a fool out of me this morning. There we go. I just don't like a big black box sitting over the top of the tank. I don't blame them really. So they should polish that off in 5 or 10 minutes. That should all be gone. So that's pretty much all their daily allotment and what they've been feeding on. There you go. I think I better just leave them alone, hey? The biofilter and the radial flow filter are going fine at the moment. They're a little bit high. I keep getting an airlock in the outlet in the biofilter. So all that needs is just a little bit of a breather pipe, yeah, just to let the air escape. Nothing big. It raises up and then falls, raises and falls. So it's just something that happens periodically. The growth in the system. Yeah, we had some parsley go to seed just in there, and it's died off, it's turning into worm food. Harvested 3 nice little sweet potatoes out of there. This sweet potato vine's just gone ballistic. It was growing through the neighbour's fence when we had the chain fence there, the wire link fence. The pepino's going well, it's starting to fruit. It's going to be a shame to pull this guy out. I'm going to try and take him out in one hit and maybe replant him, because we did get loads of fruit from there last year. Lavender's still kicking butt here. Warrigal greens, like I said, it's just not stopping. It's just powering along. It's growing through the whole system. The jalapeno is still producing loads of fruit. Most of it's being hit by the fruit fly. Trying to pick as many green as we can so we can use them, make use of them. I'm looking at putting a veggie net over this whole system once we get the new beds in, just so we can keep it fruit fly free, and also the brassica caterpillar, the brassica butterfly, try and keep them out as well. So yeah, I do have big plans for this. I'll just show you these new beds. So these are the grow beds we got with the system. They're about 500 litres in size. They have an inlet down the bottom and an outlet. That's just where you hook them up to the pump. They have an insert that just sits in the top, around about 300 litres, so effectively you end up with a sump underneath your grow bed, and that's probably how I'll hook these guys up. I fill it 3/4 with 20mm crushed rock, the blue metal rock we get here, and then just 20mm, about 3/4 inch, and then just fill the top half a foot or 150mm just with the clay pebbles, just because it makes it a little bit easier on your hands to work with, and run them just as a straight media bed, with the added bonus of having a sump in the bottom. Then all I have to do is connect all the beds together through those fittings, and I can, yeah, basically run a pump from them. They'd all fill at the same time, they'd all drain at the same time, back up to your fish tank or a master sump tank, and away you go. So got to work out how I'm going to plumb these guys in yet. So set up like that, they could be either media or earthen bed. I'm just going to flip the tubs over, and I'll show you another way I could set these guys up. I could also set them up like this, using the insert as a stand, and then I could either fill this whole thing with media. It'd be great, because on a small system you'd only need 2 of these beds to look after the biofiltration. Then you'd just be concerned about trying to extract the nitrates into your plants. Probably a great one for a pawpaw tree or something like that. And for the top, fill with media, or you could run it as a DWC, a deep water culture. You'd have a large body of water in there. I suppose you could have the level a little bit lower, but yeah, that's another 2 ways you could pretty much well run it. Gives you a nice bit of height too, especially if you've got bad backs or bad knees and that sort of thing. My parents, that's one of the reasons I'm setting up the aquaponics. It just helps them not have to bend over as far and do as much heavy lifting. So there you go, that's how we can set these guys up. So yes, now where to fit them in. As it stands, what I think I will do is put a couple of the large fish tanks up here in the filtration. This box that holds all the electronic components and backup systems will just be moved to the higher level where the aquaculture setup is there, the fish farm, and the door will open the other way, and I'll easily be able to fit 2 fish tanks in there and the filtration. Down here on the bottom level, or the lower level, where the grow beds and the sump tank are set up at the moment, I'll easily be able to fit 4 grow beds in there, and maybe even a centralised sump. I may not utilise the sump space in the base of these beds yet. Still all up in the air on how I'll plumb it out. and I was thinking maybe those beds there, which I really don't want to give to my parents, they got low points on them where they collect a lot of solids in the media. And then what I can do is move those beds just here where this bed is, and I'll be pulling out behind the ginger, and I can have some deep water culture beds there that can flow back into that system there without too much hassle. And yeah, I won't need a separate sump and a separate pump there. So that's the idea I've got at the moment, but it's all up in the air. I've looked at this thing a few times over the last couple of days. Last 3 or 4 days I've been trying to work out how I'm going to fit it all in. So that's the plan I got at the moment. But it's one of those things, I've been staring at it and looking at it from my perspective. If anyone out there sees something that we could do maybe a little bit differently, by all means put a comment in the comment section below, and yeah, let me know. I may have just glossed straight over the top of it. We all tend to get in our own little narrow fields of vision and stick with it, so any input would be appreciated. So there you go, that's how the aquaponics is pretty much all travelling at the moment, and what I've got to work with in the future. So there we go, there's a bit of a roundup with the aquaponics. I'm going to have to leave it there. I'm well over half an hour, approaching 3/4 of an hour, so yeah, I'll leave it there. Finally, just to wrap up, a huge thank you to all you guys who ask questions, leave comments and make suggestions. I really do appreciate it. If I don't know the answer, and you often leave suggestions, it sends me off on another learning tangent, and I pick up some other ideas and can, you know, relay the answers back to you if you're after an answer to a question. Thank you very much, really appreciate that. Big thank you also to Mr. Paul Van for letting us buy his system. Thank you very much, sir, and all the help he's given over the last couple of years. All the bits and pieces he's tossed our ways to help us out. I really do appreciate it. Check out his channel. I was going to say channel. You can check out his channel, but check out his website below. Bob Campbell, well worth a look at his channel too for the earthen beds he's started to use, and he's done aquaponics in the past and a few other filters and other builds. Might pick up some ideas from him. And I didn't mention it before, but Brock Hughes, the hydroponics guy here on YouTube, thanks mate, link below. The double Dutch bucket system, I'm looking at still having a couple of them in the system, mainly for plants like the pepino behind us here. Gets rather large, so that sort of plant I would like separate from a bed, and it'll be in a Dutch bucket. So cheers for that idea, Brock. So I'll call it quits there, guys. I'll take it easy on you. If you do have any comments, questions or suggestions though, pop them in the comments section below and I will get back to you. And hopefully there'll be some clips up in the next month or so showing the new system, or at least the system being built at my parents' place. So take it easy, guys. Catch ya.